Welcome, useful content community, and today we'll be talking about how to make useful video hooks that get people to watch your videos. Let's go.
Broadcasting live from Relate Studios in Trinidad and Tobago, it's the Useful Content Creation Show with your host, Juma Bannister.
This is the Useful Content Creation Show where marketing professionals and business owners come to learn how to create useful content to build better business relationships with their employees and their clients. My name is Juma Bannister. I am your host and I'm happy to be with you. And today we have a solo show. Actually, I literally just finished running a live show with the same topic inside of my Facebook group. We do have a Facebook group right now. Let me show you what that is. The Facebook group is facebook.com/useful content community. If you're looking for it, it is the useful content community on Facebook. If you want to join a group of people who are sharing content and who are learning how to develop videos, better videos to make their content more effective, then you can join the Facebook group. I need to make my tongue more effective. It's getting tongue-tied. All right, and don't forget that we are the Useful Content Community. You can do your hashtag UCC replay if you're here on the replay, but if you're here right now, make sure to drop your UCC live. And this is kind of impromptu, so it's not gonna run in the same way that that a usual show is gonna run. I have no guests, it's just me only, and we did not plan this from beforehand. Let me see who's in the comments here right now. Hey, Keneal, how you doing? Good to see you, Keneal. If you want to stick around and watch the rest of the show. All right, so let's jump right in. I have almost like a class to deliver. I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna treat it just like that. All right, let's go. And the thing we're gonna talk about today is how to make useful video hooks that get people to watch your video. How to make useful hooks that get people to watch your video. And we all know hooks are a very important part of video content creation, and we'll go into why they're an important part of video content creation, what is the purpose of them, and how you can make better and more useful hooks. Hi, hello Mohar, cool headset. Thank you, Keneal. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for that. Right, their UCC live and their bulbs as well. Let me just show that up real quick. So how to make useful video hooks that get people to watch your video. So there's some important things to note, right? And when we talk about a hook, we're really talking about attention. And there are different types of attention. Attention basically is getting somebody to put emphasis on something. So there are different types of attention. And the thing about attention is that it comes in multiple forms. You can get selective attention, divided attention, executive attention, sustained attention, and there are many other different types of attention that you can get. If you do a study on a psychological study, there are many studies out there that talks about different types of attention. The one that we want to look at today is sustained attention. Sustained attention is when you pay attention to something over an extended period of time, when you pay attention to something over an extended period of time. And that is the type of attention we want to get when we introduce a video hook into the equation. Of course, your content has to be good, but the hook is the starting place to get sustained attention. The hook is the starting place to get sustained attention. And how long do you want the attention to be sustained? You want the attention to be sustained however long the video is. So in an ideal situation, if your video is 5 minutes long, you want people to look at your video for 5 minutes. If your video is 2 minutes long, you want people to look at your video for 2 minutes. Most of what counts as a view on different platforms varies wildly. But if you're on YouTube, for example, if somebody gets halfway through your video, that is really seen as a great retention statistic. I mean, of course, all of us want everyone to look at all of our video because we want our message to be delivered, and we'll talk about that later on in this small class we're doing here. Hi, Garen, I'm seeing you there. Glad to have you on as we talk about how to make useful video hooks that get people to watch your videos. All right, let's move on. So, and another thing to note and something to think about is that a video hook is an effective video hook is a doorway to sustained attention. So that's a statement we should all be using. If you have an effective video hook, that is the doorway to sustained attention. An effective video hook is the doorway to sustained attention. Very important to remember. And we have an example. I want to paint a picture of what that looks like. And I'm going to use food. Everybody loves food. I'm going to use food to paint that very specific picture of what a video hook is supposed to look like. So let's look at it. So the meal. Let's consider the meal. Let's consider the food, right? And I have a bit of an icon here. It's not the best representation of a tasty meal, but just imagine that this is a very, very tasty meal and that you have prepared it. So let's walk through the process of that happening. Imagine you have spent hours preparing a delicious meal and you invite your friends over to enjoy this meal because obviously you know how good it is. It's your favorite food, you know your friends like it, and you've taken time, you've gone in the kitchen for hours, you've done all the prep, you went to the grocery, you put all the spices and herbs together, you've set everything for the right time, and you've made this very, very delicious meal. I want you to visualize in your mind what your meal will be. I know what mine will be. I know what I like to eat and what that meal will be. You know it's very tasty and you're very hungry because you spent all this time looking up, preparing for this particular meal. And so you invite your friends over and you say, come over, ladies and gents, come and enjoy this meal with me. You're going to have a good time. You're going to socialize. But there's a bit of a problem. And here's what the problem is. You and your friends are just a little bit weird. You all have an agreement that states that in order for them to eat any meal that you prepared, you had one opportunity to present them with the meal. And how you present them with the meal is not by the layout, it's not by how it looks. You had to give them one single mouthful of that food, one single mouthful of that food in order to convince them that the rest of the meal is worth consuming. Right? That is what you had to do with them in order to convince them that the meal is worth consuming. So this is what a hook is like. A hook is like one mouthful of a meal, one mouthful of food that makes you want to eat the rest of the meal. If the first taste is not good, then the people will not want to consume the rest of it. If the first interaction with your video isn't good, then the people will not want to look at the rest. So that part that you present at the beginning must be in alignment with the rest of the video, but it also must have a high quality presentation. It must have a good taste. It must interact with the people well in order for them to say, I want to consume the rest of this video, because you did spend time prepping, you were diligent in doing your research, you were diligent in sitting down and shooting your video, you were diligent in getting your editing done, so you want people to watch your video. So that is what a hook is like. A hook is that part of the meal, that convincing mouthful that makes people want to watch the rest of your video. That is what a hook is like. All right, one more for let's just paint plain torture. Thanks, Mark. I see you. Good morning. Good morning, Dale, as well. Good morning, Dale. I see you there, right? So that is what a hook is like. A hook is like that first mouthful. And when you're very hungry, like Sebastian said, when you're very hungry, one mouthful of food will drive you crazy. So you want to consume the rest of it. And if somebody is hungry for a solution, they're hungry for a problem to be solved, if you give them something that even looks like it's going to solve their problem, they're going to look at the rest of the video. And that is what your hook is designed to do. That is what that first mouthful of that meal is designed to do, right? But if you want to be very generic about it, a hook is really an attention-grabbing device that is implemented at the start of a video. A hook is just an attention-grabbing device that is implemented at the start of a video. And a hook is designed to do two things. It's designed to do two things. It's designed to secure your attention. So how I describe it is like this. If someone is facing to their left and your hook is to your right, your hook must be able to make them turn their attention to look at the thing that you're presenting. It secures your attention. And also, your hook has to build expectation. It gives someone a sense of what is to come. It builds up that expectation around what your content is going to be like. And because it has to build expectation, it's very important that our hooks are not generic. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation, right? And so, Mark, okay, let me just take the little while in this section here and just look at some of the comments. I'm going to take this section and look at some of the comments. So Garin came up. Let me say hello to Garin again. The big catch. Cornelia saying hi to Garin. Effective hook. Hey, everyone. Hi, Sebastian. I saw you on TikTok as well. That meet. Dale, thanks for jumping on. I appreciate that. Mark is saying hooks are very important. It is true for music and it is true for video. Hey, music is such a great thing. The example I have later on in the video explores that a little bit. One mouthful, it is just plain torture for real. And don't forget, one mouthful equals a bite size. If you try to stuff a 72-ounce steak down their throat, they will gag and leave. That is so true. You have to make it enticing enough to get them to look at the rest, but it can't overload the people. You have to introduce them to it, make them want to see the rest of this content. Let your meal be enticing by introducing that first mouthful that you take so long to prepare. So let's move on and look at some of the rest of it. Right, so hooks build expectation. And on a very basic level, a hook is supposed to be attention getting and expectation building. Attention getting and expectation building. It makes people avert their eyes away from something else and look at what you have to say. And it also builds expectation as to what is to come inside of the content you are presenting. Very, very important to know. So let's move on. And you know why that is so very important, right? And let me talk about that a little bit. And of course, a hook exists at the start of your video because that is the place that is most important and most critical to secure someone's attention. And I can't assume this is obvious. People might not know about this. Anybody looking at this video, looking at the replay of this, might not know, or here live might not know why a hook has to be at the start of a video. So just in case people don't understand why that is the case, just in case some people are wondering, why do you want to capture someone's attention at the start? Here's the answer. If your content does not secure the viewer's attention, you do not have a chance to deliver your message. If your content does not secure the viewer's attention, you do not have a chance to deliver your message. And that is why your hook is at the start. If the first mouthful does not convince the person, then the entire meal goes to waste. If someone is not convinced to consume the thing that you presented by getting the first part of it or the hook, then all your efforts, your diligence, your creativity goes to waste. The meal goes to waste. Remember, this is all about the message. You want your message to be delivered so that you get the outcomes that you want, so that you get the goals that you want, because you've worked so diligently on crafting this specific message for specific people. You don't want it to go to waste. So if a hook fails to secure the attention of the intended audience and build that good expectation, you've lost the battle before you started. And we don't want to waste time and we don't want to waste effort in creating content, because that would lead to burnout. It would lead to crashing confidence. It'll lead to all different sorts of things. So we want to craft it in such a way that it'll be the most effective from the get-go. All right, so even if you have a great video, if the hook is not effective, no one will watch it, then it goes to waste. So let's look at the anatomy of a useful hook. Let's look at the anatomy of a useful hook. So what I didn't put is that you don't have to have a chance to deliver your message, and you want that message to be delivered for sure, for sure, for sure. Let's look at the anatomy of a useful hook. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to use an example. Now, this is a very interesting example. I want you to stay with me for this example. It's a very interesting example. It's from a local YouTuber, right, called Yeon. Local as in from my country, right? He is somebody who creates videos on YouTube. And I was looking at one of his videos recently, and I found that he had such a good hook at the beginning of one of his most recent videos. I thought I would share it with you. It kind of is related to our local content here in Trinidad and Tobago, but it will still translate for anyone anywhere in the world as to how he created it. The places that he's talking about is local, but the methods he is using is very much relatable and very much useful for everyone. So let's look at this video hook, his opening from this YouTuber called Yeon on YouTube. Let's have a look at that right now.
I would volunteer to walk from Arima to Gasparilla. I know reach Freeport, and I'm walking 7 hours now.
Now one of our proudest moments, I was going through a roller coaster emotions. But I mean, we could always go back to the happier times.
Right. So I would possibly run it again, but let me first, as you looked at that, let me first explain some of the context for that video. Now, this guy, Yeon, his content is him walking over all parts of our country, and he looked at some of the other people who had done it before, and he decided that he has to beat their distance. And so the context of that hook is him almost halfway through an 18-mile walk. It's him almost halfway through an 18-mile walk, and someone is at my door. It's him almost halfway through an 18-mile walk, or is it 18-kilometer walk? Either 18 miles or 18 kilometers, right? And so you're very right. You're very right, Sebastian. It is a cliffhanger. It is a definite cliffhanger. And you definitely want a... Hold 1 second, guys. Let me just deal with this real quick. You never want to be interrupted in your live shows, but it happens from time to time. I just have to close back in the door there so the noise wouldn't come from the outside. All right, let's go ahead. Knock, knock. Definitely, unless you flew from Zurich, Sebastian. All right, okay, so yeah, and that is what is happening. So that's the context of the video, right? And that's the opening salvo, the opening part of the video. If anybody has any comments about what they saw, so Sebastian has said it's a bit of a cliffhanger, which is really excellent. That's one of the good observations about this particular hook. Hey, 18, anything aside from it's a long way. Yeah, it's a really long distance that he is walking. I can relate to that because I was a big walker. I used to walk 5K every day, so it was relating to me. As well as you could see clearly, he's wearing red. So I can relate to that as well. And so let me play the video one more time so y'all could see, you'll get a sense of it. And if y'all have any feedback about what are the things in the video that makes it good, then I will do something. I will add to it, right? So the places he's talking about, he has a nice Trinidadian accent, but the places he's talking about are far from each other. Let me just put it that way. So let me run it one more time, and y'all will tell me what y'all think about it.
I would volunteer to walk from Arima to Gasparilla. I know reach Freeport, and I'm walking 7 hours now.
Now one of our proudest moments, I was going through a roller coaster emotions. But I mean, we could always go back to the happier times.
All right, so that's the hook again of his video. The video is actually 22 minutes long, but that is the opening salvo of the video. So Sebastian already indicated that one of the things is that it's a cliffhanger. Very, very true. And your hook should be like that. It should put the people who are watching in a position that they do want to find out or know more. They really feel like if they get into this thing, it will satisfy their need or satisfy their curiosity or make them want to find out the thing that they need to find out, solve a particular problem, or give them particular information that is useful to them. So that is very important. All right, so let me jump into what I think makes this hook very, very, very good. Right, let me jump into what that is. Let me get the thing back up here. So a few things about this hook. The first thing he does out the gate is that he asks a question. He says, tell me why I would make this particular decision. So he's setting the context. He asks a particular question that kind of justifies or even sets the context for the position that he's in. He tells me why I would walk this distance. So one of the effective things about a hook is that you can ask a question, but it has to be contextual. The second thing is that he tells you what the content is about. He basically says, I am walking from this place to that place. And if you know the place, if you're familiar with those places, you know those two places are not very close together. So immediately you get a sense that this fella has been through a process. He has been through a journey. And you get all of that in 5 seconds. And if you look at the image as well, you look at the image, you can see that it is outdoors. It set the context. He looks like he's a bit sweaty. He has his hood on. It looks hot. You know, you're wondering what is happening inside of this story. So there's so much storytelling happening inside of the first 5 seconds of presenting this particular video. And that hooks you in, and it makes you go on to the second part of it, which is like him setting the context of what's going to happen later in the video that we're going to flash back to 2 weeks earlier, right? In addition to that, he's emotional. There is anger and frustration. He makes you tense. He said, well, why would I do this? Why would I do this? And so that hook is able to activate your own emotions. Like you want the question answered, but it's almost like a frustration that is building up inside of the way he's asking it. So it really makes you want to know more. And then the other thing is that the music is very, very tense. The music actually builds up. It builds up. It builds all the way up, and it reaches to a crescendo. And it reaches to a crescendo, and you're able to actually now then transition into the other parts of the video. So that is very important. Canadian saying good Wi-Fi or data, make it keep up also. Yes, that is true. I guess you're referring to live video in that particular sense. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on and look at some of the stuff that goes along with it. Right. Let me see. Where am I? Kind of lost my place a little bit. All right. So let's talk about what's the difference between a useful hook. What we look at the anatomy of what he did. Let's talk about the anatomy of a useful hook. Some of the things it's supposed to do. So a useful hook tells you what the content is about. It is not generic. You know, people always kind of use these clickbaity hooks, as in, this is the best kept secret, or you won't believe what happened here, and things of that sort. You do not want your hooks to be like that. You want your hooks to be directly related to the content you are going to show. As a matter of fact, you should use keywords. You should use language that is contained inside of your content that points people towards what the content is going to be like, that is truthful and that is representative of what the content is going to be like. You don't want to use clickbaity or generic hooks. You want to use hooks that are very specific, because if you're speaking to very specific people, you want your hooks to be very specific as well. The other thing is that it makes you say, I want to see more. Sebastian mentioned earlier that it was a cliffhanger. It left you at a place where you were desiring to see the rest of the story. And the hook does that to you. When you create a good hook, it makes the people want to go into the content even more. It is a representation of what they should expect. That first mouthful, that first taste, the flavors of it, the notes of it will push you into making the decision, I need to consume the rest of this meal. And that is what a good useful hook does. It makes you say, I want to see more. So that is what a good and useful hook does. Another thing that it does is that it appeals to the emotion. It appeals to the emotion. In the video that we were looking at just now, the emotion was anger and frustration, but that emotion could also be happiness. It could be excitement. It could be sadness. It could be a somber feeling. Many people deliver a message that is serious and that is somber. For example, the current crisis in the earth is and this will date this video, but the current crisis in the earth is Ukraine and Russia. That is a somber thing. It's a serious thing. Or if you have a serious or somber message, you have to put the music and the mood to match all those different things to draw people in, so that you will set the platform for the feelings that they're supposed to have in order to consume your content. Very important to remember. The next thing is that it is very specific. It uses language or keywords in the hook that are related to the content. I mentioned this earlier, and that is a big part of why this hook is effective, that the content is about walking. He literally says, why would I walk? The content is about health and about the journey and about different challenges. He literally is expressing frustration and anger as to making a decision about something that he's doing in the video. And he references it by going back in time to explain how he got there. So when you create your hooks, you want to use keywords. His video was about walking. He used the keyword of why would I walk, right? From this place to the other place. The actual whole video is about that journey, and he uses that in the video hook. He doesn't just say, this is why I was frustrated. He does not say that. He literally actively comes in front of the camera, shows the context, sets the environment, and uses the language that is related to the hook to make it even more effective. And that is what you have to do if you want to make your hooks useful. Now, I'm not going to go on anymore, right? I'm not going to go on anymore. I could go on to talk about generic hooks versus non-generic hooks, but we've been on this live stream for about half an hour now. And if you want to ask questions, you can go ahead and do that, but I'm not going to go on anymore. I will deal with generic hooks versus non-generic hooks another day. But this is what I wanted to share with you all today, how to make useful hooks that will make people look at all of your video. I think that's the title I gave it. Let me see. Let me see this thing here, the banners. Let me see. Right, it's how to make useful hooks that get people to watch your video. That is the title that I gave it today. And I first shared this class inside of a private Zoom class, and then this morning I did a bit of the same class in my Facebook group. And if you want to be part of my Facebook group, the Useful Content Community Group, you can go to facebook.com. It's scrolling below, facebook.com/group/useful content community to be a part of that. You can search for Useful Content Community on Facebook. We're building out a group there for business owners and for people who want to improve their content, who want to know about video content, they want to know about content in general, and make themselves better marketers for their business. Go look at that. You'll get great value from it if you're a business owner. It's designed specifically for people who run businesses and for people who are solopreneurs, and it will really help them get their business running with their marketing content. And that's going to be very useful. Thanks everybody for jumping on and for looking at this episode of the Useful Content Creation Show, where I shared how to create useful hooks that will get people to watch your videos. And we will talk very soon. Bye everyone.